Hey everybody, this is Ken, the media guy here at the Veterans History Museum of the Carolinas, and I'm here along with curator
Emmett Cassietto.
There you go, and curator
Tom Bugala.
All right, very good. Unfortunately, we're closed right now because of this little thing called the pandemic going around, but we're being responsible. We're keeping 6 feet away from each other here. We're nice and spaced out.
Tom and us are 10 feet.
Yeah.
So I high-fived them.
I have to keep these guys separated. That's just it. They're just like my kids. We're back and forth. There you go.
Well, I lost some weight. It fits good now.
There you go. Yeah, you know why we were losing weight? Because we've been doing all these honey-do lists at home since we hadn't been here. That's probably what's been going on.
Thank goodness the Lowe's is still open.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. But you know, everybody at home, we wanted to keep interest going. We wanted to keep things going here at the museum. So we decided to get together about once a week, and we're doing these little videos for you guys. And this week, we're focusing on a lot of World War II stuff. So what do you got? I mean, World War I, I'm sorry. World War I, thank you, Emmett. What you got?
Well, today we're going to talk a little about the history of the Colt 45. This is a World War I, 1918. And you can see it has a lanyard with it. But it's one of the nicest pieces, I'll tell you. I actually fired this particular one, and it's amazing. It still works today, and it'll work for a long time to come. But anyway, what I want to talk about the history. When we were in the United States, when we were over there fighting the Moros in the Philippines. We were using 38s over there, and a lot of the Moros were coming. They had no stopping power. So the Army and the Navy they wanted something that was more powerful. So in around 1906 or so, they started coming up with some ideas for a bigger caliber shell, and they came up with a 45. And what happened, they had 6 companies actually vie for the contract for the 45. There was Savage Firearms, there was Colt, there was Bergman, there was DWM, and there was a Merrill, a company named Merrill. But anyway, 3 of them were eliminated immediately, and the DWM, Savage, and the Colt were the 3 that the Army and Navy really wanted to look at. So what they did, they actually got all 3 manufacturers, and they had 1 pistol only from each one, and they shot this gun 6,000 rounds out of this in 2 days. The funny part about it, when it got too hot, they just dunked it in water, brought it out, and kept going. And the Colt won out. It was the most reliable. And so they used it, and it is still one of the icons today, the 1911. Am I correct, Tom?
That's right. There's all different types of manufacturers that replicate the Colt frame.
Yep.
Kimber, I was just discussing that a little while ago with a friend of mine, and they did a few modifications in World War II. They became the 1911 A1.
Yep. If you notice this one here, the handle is straight down. In the A1, it comes out a little bit here. Right. There might be some other modifications for it, but it's still the same weapon, and it's a 45 shell, and this has some stopping power, believe me. But anyway,
how many rounds?
This here is 7 rounds.
7 rounds.
Yep. And this right here, if you notice the magazine for World War I, it's a 2-toned magazine. When we were over there in France during World War I, a lot of times the top of this would squeeze in and the bullets were not ejected properly. So what happened was they hard cased the top, and that's why it's a different color. And that's how you tell an original World War I magazine if it's 2-toned. So always don't be fooled by that. This is the real deal right here.
But they would dip it in lead.
Yep.
And then that would anodize it or whatever.
And there you go. Yep. Thank you for that, Tom. But anyway,
So is it fair to say that that's probably the best designed handgun in America?
Well, Brownie's the one that Brownie came out with a lot of things.
Browning High Power is a really nice pistol, but this is the most famous, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
20th century.
Yeah.
You can go back to Colt in 19th century.
Yeah.
There was so many patents on this. I mean, up and down at patents, but this is U.S. Army. And matter of fact, the fella that actually, there was a Colonel Petit that actually used this. I have the history on this gun. Colonel Petit went to a military academy in Kentucky in 1909, and he ended up over there in France. And I have a record of how many times he shot it, and so on and so forth.
Oh, you have records for that?
Yes,
Wow.
yeah.
Now that makes it worth more too. When you have
I have a little history on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And then the string that's on the bottom of it, is that the?
That's a lanyard.
Okay.
Most guys would carry it, around their neck or arm or whatever. But anyway, it would keep them so it wouldn't fall. It would always be on them. And it's a World War I lanyard.
The magazine actually had a loop for a lanyard too, right?
Yeah. Well,
Is it on there or
no, it's on the gun itself.
Oh.
This was on
All right.
the gun itself.
Yes.
Right here. But anyway, and you could put one in the throat too if you wanted to. But anyway, and if you notice, a World War I, you had to cock it first and then do it. I don't know if you ever saw the movie The Lost Battalion. As curators and people that are military history, you always make sure movies are accurate in their weaponry, their uniforms, their patches, and so on.
They
and
never
so forth.
are.
Every once in a while.
They
The
never
Lost
are.
Battalion, I have to say, they were pretty accurate with everything they had there. But anyway, if you ever noticed when Major Wilsey used his .45, he always cocked it halfway, and then then it goes all the way.
Wow.
Because it's so hard to do it like this.
Wow.
So
yeah. So they probably improved that for World War II and that sort of thing.
believe so.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway,
Mine doesn't have that.
well, if you ever watch the movie, watch what he does with it.
Yeah, very good.
But anyway, that movie right there was it was an eye opener.
Yeah.
Because Major Wellesley went in. It was the Meuse-Argonne offensive, which was the last offensive. By the way, 52,000 men died KIA in World War I, Americans, and 26,000 of those perished at the Meuse-Argonne offensive, which was the final push to push the Germans back, and 63,000 of our men died from disease and other causes, which was the Spanish flu.
Oh boy.
And a lot of our men were sick, weren't sick. Then they get on the troop carriers and they infect the guys going over. Mm-hmm. So we're in the same situation here. Millions, tens of millions of people perished over that. Yeah. And on both sides, the Central Powers and the Allies. But
It's really amazing.
It is amazing, and we're living in extraordinary times, that's for sure.
But anyway, that's a little history of the 1911, and I think this weapon right here is an icon. From
absolutely.
World War I till now.
Yeah.
Browning made one heck of a weapon here.
And I know that my brother-in-law carried one in Afghanistan. He was a Navy Seabee, and he carried the 1911 in Afghanistan.
He did.
Yeah, he sure did.
Well, a lot of the SEALs still carry it.
Yeah.
The 1911.
Well, there's a new competition out. Well, trying to come up with a replacement for the Beretta 92. So.
Well, the 9mm. Well, DWM early on came up with a 7.65 in like in the early 1900s, late 1800s, and that's something people they just didn't want. Our services just didn't want that because they had no stopping power. And then the DWM also after that came out with a 19mm, 9-19mm Parabellum. Yeah. Okay, they came up with that, and that's what they and Luger DWM is the one that made Lugers too. You know what I mean? Which we have a World War I Luger, and I think you guys already talked about that, didn't you?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we
Okay,
did.
Yeah.
But that is a story for another day when we get in to talk about that 9mm was a Beretta, right? Yeah, that's what they were using. So
A lot of your SF
Yeah,
troops
M9.
like using
M9 Beretta.
yeah, so
45.
Yeah.
don't worry,
Because
there'll
they're
be an
close
episode.
in.
Yeah, there'll
Yeah.
be an episode on that coming up. But for now, we're gonna let you guys go. You've been listening to us ramble on and on here. These guys can talk forever, let me tell you. But that's good because it's entertaining for you. So make sure that you go to our YouTube channel and type in Veterans History Museum of the Carolinas in that little search box at the top. It'll take you right to our channel. And once you get to our channel, you hit that big red subscribe button, and you won't ever have to do that again because all of our notifications will come to you right in the email. So hey, we're going to have some more fun here at Night of the Museum. We got a whole lot more stuff, so stick around for the next episode.